Welcome to More Than Mindset, the only podcast that bridges the gap between spirituality and success. Go beyond the mind with clarity and confidence coach Kim Guillory and learn how to integrate your passion to serve with your skills and experience to create a business you love. Let's get started.
Hey folks, and welcome back to the show. I just received a text message on my phone, an emergency, somewhat of an alert about staying home until April 30th. Like official, legit. I know we heard it, but when it starts coming through as a 911 on your phone, it seems kind of eerie, as if it weren't a little weird already. So stay-at-home orders have been extended, so we have a little more time to be in presence, to be in consciousness, to kind of hang out in this non-escape mode. We're just here. We're just in it, feeling all of the feels. And what I'm noticing is we are watching for the numbers to see what the death rate is. It's a little spooky, guys. Now, people die every day. They probably would be dying more of crime if there were more people out on the streets, actually. But it's so random. This virus is merciless. It has no rhythm. There's no prejudiceness. Like, we have no idea who is at risk. And so everyone is focusing on, could it be me? Could it be me? Could it be my family? Could it be us? Like, because we have no idea. It's so random. It's so weird. I kind of started questioning this whole human experience thing. And I was like, it's almost like the medicine. Like, is this just a way to pump the antibodies into like our next level of genetics, of how we were cellularly constructed? Like, is this like, hey, dude, take your medicine and some of you won't survive? That's kind of what it feels like. So what I wanted to talk about today was two things. Number one is focusing on living rather than focusing on dying. And could it be me? Am I going to be one of the numbers? Am I going to be part of the statistics? And what I see is many of the people that I'm noticing, and I'm talking about like on social media and hearing people talk, is this question of what if I die? And I'm just wondering if we were to ask, oh, but what if I live? And then start preparing for that right now. Like when you come out of this, when you're on the other side of it, like you could be preparing and planning for that now. While you are home, while you have all of this time off, what is it that you have not been doing? We're in such the habit of repeating the same thing day after day and calling it a life, rather than trusting our inner guidance, our passion, our purpose, and truly living the life. We sit around asking, what if? And we fill in the worst case scenarios. What if I die young? What if something happens to my family? What if I don't come out on the other side of this? What if I try to do something new and exciting and I fail? What if I truly do try what I'm called to do and I don't make it? So I want to invite you, like, how about trying something different and asking yourself, what if this is my last chance to do what I've always wanted to, but was afraid of? Like, if you think of this as that, like, possibility, rather than thinking of the worst case scenario, like, what is it you would wish you would have done if you would be one of the statistics? Like, we can take the time and we can contemplate right now. It's a perfect opportunity to put us in that scenario because we truly don't know. We can visualize it. Like, we can go to the worst case scenario and then we can create the best case scenario on the other side. Just curious, like, what would come up for you? What would you do with this one crazy and magical life? Like, if there were no limits, if there were all possibility and potentiality was available for you, which it is, think about just for a moment. Like, you don't have to go crazy and scare yourself. It's just, if you're going to be focusing on death, you just assume be focusing, well, what if I don't? And to see what you would do on the other side of it. So the way I see it is we only have two choices. We can allow or we can resist. And which one are you in? Because it feels very dangerous, But if you look around the room, it doesn't look dangerous. And that's where that dissonance is coming from. I talked about this last week. But what's happening is we're in this fight, flight, freeze, and freak because there's a part of us that feels very unsafe. And it is triggering those feelings, those emotions, that sensation that's going through the body. And then our mind makes up a story. And then we get paralyzed. And we're just sitting in the paralysis. When we could be making plans. Maybe there is a course that you've always wanted to take. And I want you to notice where your mind just went. When I say maybe there, because I have like a mastermind starting up. I would love for people to take the opportunity right now and say, you know what, if I make it, if I make it through this, that is what I want to do on the other side. And then do it now. Like go ahead and prepare for it and plan for it. Because what's the worst case scenario? You don't make it? Then what have you lost, right? At least you were doing what you loved. Even before. It's really interesting. Like I have a lot of questions for these brains. All of these triggers and fears and worries that are coming up, these are just like our shadows. These are like our little stories that happened when we were kids, when we were teenagers, when we were young adults, like things that we just didn't clear. We didn't get them out of the way. We didn't process them. We didn't integrate them. We didn't feel them so we can experience them and then move on. So this is a perfect opportunity to do that. So what happens is these old stories, these old sensations come up for a better resolution. And they come up when they're triggered, when we're in crises, which is where we are right now. We're in chaos and crises. We have no idea what's going on. And that is really freaky. It's like we're just kind of dangling, we're hanging. You imagine you're like this little ball, this little round ball, and there's a string and someone is holding the string. We'll just say the universe or God is like holding the string and you're just kind of dangled with nothing to hold on to. Matter of fact, I'm going to change the subject for a moment and just kind of take you into a scenario where, you know how I always talk about the bridge. I'm the bridge between 3D and 5D, between spirituality and humanity. And what we're doing is we're building this bridge, like in between, let's say, the bridge of courage and confidence, right? So it starts off, you got to have daring courage. You start taking steps and then you keep doing it. And then you're laying down this foundation to walk across. And then the result is confidence. Okay. So clarity, courage is the path to confidence. So what we do in life in these experiences is we are growing, we're evolving. And then once that bridge is built and we know how to play between the two sides, then we're kind of like dancing in the shadows between the two, okay, I've got this spirituality and then I have this humanity and then I have this big O experience in the middle and I kind of play and swing. But the bridge that I imagine is a solid bridge. So you imagine it's just like going across this little waterway and there's a levee on both sides. It's really solid. And each incident, each time we grow, we go to another level, we experience new things in our life, we are laying a new board. And so we're building the boards all the way across the bridge until we get to the other side. And then we get to play back and forth because we already have the experience and we know how to go back to it. We know how to take people across, right? Because that's what we do. We become the example for others to follow. Well, I'm imagining right now that we are on like the Jumanji bridge. So you know the Disney movie Jumanji, whenever they're like in the jungle and they're fighting for their life, kind of reminds me of the Hunger Game thing, right? They're just like in another world. And they're just like, they have these 3 stripes on their arms. So that's their little lives that are being represented. And then sometimes they like blow up and look down and they only have 2 lives left. And so it very much feels like this. And so I find it interesting that as I was in session with my clients this week is the bridge kept showing up, but it was a Jumanji bridge. It was just like kind of hanging out. So you imagine in the movie, if you saw it, like it's when the monkeys were attacking them. And so they were like trying to get across and they were like hanging from it. And it's like flinging across and they're like jumping from one to the other. So that's what I'm imagining this is right now. That's what it feels like. It's really eerie. It's weird. We can't understand it. There's no rhyme and rhythm. It's really merciless. Like the monkeys are just coming from everywhere. It's like we have all of these things happening, like reports from this state and this state. And then all of a sudden it's in this area. And then it's like these people are down. And now like they're showing us the coolers outside of the hospital where they're collecting bodies. And it's just like really surreal, you know, and the victims of the coronavirus, like, are so random. They thought it was going to be like the older or the younger or the ones who were compromised but it's not true. It is just very random. And so when I talk about like, it's almost like it's just the way that we evolve, and it's the new antibodies that have to be like injected into our new cellular system. I feel like I'm talking really weird today. I hope this is not freaking people out. I'm really just kind of having fun with my own brain. And these are the kind of stories that are created from my mind, or I have an open mind. So it's like kind of whatever is going on around me, I tend to kind of pick up on and make some stories about. So today you would just be entertained. So let's just imagine we're in Jumanji World. We're on the free floating bridge. It's just kind of hanging out. You got the monkeys jumping on you. You're like, don't know what the hell is going on. It's kind of dark, kind of gray colored. It's not like bright and sunny. You're just kind of like trying to half see. It's a little foggy, and you're just holding on for dear life. And your body, your sensations, this emotional pattern and signaturing of, I am not safe. I am afraid. This doesn't feel solid. I'm kind of in this fight, flight, freeze, freak, right? My nervous system is on fire. I feel some shakiness in my body. All of that is coming from thoughts. So I just wanted to take you into the experience of all the craziness, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back into getting grounded and getting stable. I want you to see the power of your mind, and I want you to see what you do have control of, and how you, each of us, each individual, no matter what is happening around you, whether you have an open mind, whether you're experiencing the Jumanji Bridge, you can take yourself back to a place of safety within your own body at any given moment. And that is my gift to you, my friends. This human experience is filled with grief as well as joy, with hurt as well as happiness. We always have the option, always have the ability to come back to the power and the control of our emotions by the way we think. And so if you are spending your time watching TV, looking at the death rate, looking at the what if worst case scenario, and you're flinging across on the Jumanji Bridge, and it's dark and dingy, and you're dangling, and you're looking at the no rhythm and the mercilessness and the random, you are going to feel crappy. You will feel triggered. It will not be comfortable. But this is what I do know. We can always come back, and we can get present, and we can start unveiling all of those stories, because none of those were facts. They were visualizations, and those visualizations took you into some sensations that were uncomfortable. And just as easily as that happens, we can take ourselves to a place of safety. So the stay-at-home order gave me a weird, eerie feeling for a moment. And then I saw the bridge, and then I saw the unease, and then I saw just hearing people talk. I just kind of had visualized this unsafety. And it took about 10 seconds. And I was like, oh, actually, I was completely comfortable and centered and grounded before that text came on my phone. And I can go back to there like that. The snap of a finger. I can be right back the center of the ocean. I can be right back in my body. I can be right back into comfort, and I can be right back into ease, because the wisdom of no escape teaches us about our two choices. We can allow what is, or we can resist. And when you are freaking out, and when you're worried about death, and when you're worried about the worst case scenario, you're resisting. Those things are a part of life. We will die at some point. Everyone we love will die at some point. But right now, we have the opportunity to live in this moment. We can choose to use our time to be thinking about the worst case scenario, therefore experiencing the worst case scenario, because we have created it in our mind. We now feel it in our body. Or we can use our time to get grounded and centered and create that anchor back in presence. And then we can start unraveling that story. Is that true? Who would I be without that thought? Is that true? Bring in some Byron Katie here, right? Like, what if that is just story? Because it is, my friend, it is. It is just story. You can choose to be solid, to be stable, right here, right now, and still dance with the shadows, with those parts of us who are afraid, those parts of us that are more of the empath constituents where we feel other people's fears and we feel other people's emotions. We can dance in those shadows, bringing all of it in and out. And what it would look like is like, oh, interesting. That feels scary. Oh, interesting. I feel safe. Wow. Could I get curious? Could I explore here? I wonder what it would feel like in my body if I would visualize the bridge that is stable, the bridge that is complete all the way across. And I just walk back and forth and I visit in both worlds, imaginary and logical. I wonder, I get curious. Guys, there's a couple of other podcast episodes about this. It's called like Dancing with the Shadows. I think it's like 17. It's earlier on and maybe even a couple before that. And also Transition of Transformation. And that again is that bridge work. It's in between, like we're not who we were. We are now a more conscious species, the whole entire world. And I'm very curious, what is the opportunity that this coronavirus outbreak is offering us? The whole entire world has been impacted by this. What is the opportunity? What is it going to look like on the other side? What will you look like on the other side? You personally, what are you doing right now to prepare for that? Or are you spending all of your time freaking out in this fight, flight, freeze mode? Really notice that you do have an option. You do have a choice. Even if you were in prison, you could be in joy because you can change your thoughts to align with how you want to feel. And yet, you could be imprisoned in your body and the door be wide open and you not walking through it. It's really crazy. We are not in lockdown. Like we can move amongst our house. We can move in our yards. We're just being asked not to mix with groups of people so that this can be contained. But there are so many conspiracy theories and so many like stories to freak out about. And oh my gosh, I'm like fascinated. And my brain loves jumping stories, like in getting back on that Jumanji bridge. I was like, that's just what it feels like. It's like we're just like swinging and dangling and we have no idea. And I just decided to embrace it. I decided to allow it. I was like, oh my God, isn't this interesting? What a time to be here. Yeah. What if it's not so bad? What if it's free? Like, what if we can explore the freedom of it? The freedom of not knowing, the freedom of not being in control, the freedom of allowing things to evolve into change, and yet still have power and control of what goes on within our own bodies. Listen, that's good stuff. When you could be in the middle of chaos and crisis and still be in calm, guys, it's powerful. I don't know if you've experienced that. If you haven't, you got to come to the More Than Mindset Facebook group. It's so powerful. The ability to not just get yourself here, but to stay here for longer periods of time as you practice, because it is practice. The Punchline approach is like yoga. It's like Buddhism. It is a practice. It is a manual for life, how to continue living in power and control, how to continue consciously creating the life that you want to live, the experience that you want to have. It is a practice that you just keep rinsing and repeating. You keep coming back to presence. You keep unveiling the story that all of the fearful tactics, all of the stuff that the media is feeding, all of the stuff that your neighbor is saying, you just unveil all of that so that you can understand why you're feeling the way you feel. And then you navigate by calling yourself back home, back into your body. I am home. I am safe. I am healthy. I am home. I am safe. I am healthy. Take a breath. Breathe into that and stay. Breathe and stay. You're going to feel some resistance. Your body is not going to want to stay there. It's going to be a little jumpy, and that's okay. And pause. Imagine you're rinsing potatoes. Inhale, you bring in the water, swoosh it around. Exhale, release. I am safe. I am healthy. I am safe. I am healthy. Just experience, just witness, just watch. Watch your mind. Look at the Jumanji Bridge, right? Be part of the jungle. Look at your wrist. How many lives do you have left? How many times have you already killed yourself off with fear and imagination? Right? Let's just imagine we only had one life left. What is it going to be on the other side of this? What is the thing that you've always wanted to do? What is so deeply calling you that you have not done because you're afraid to lose it all? And yet you find yourself here today feeling like you're losing it all, right? And maybe, possibly you are. And there's freedom in that too. I know that's hard to imagine, but guys, I know I've been there. I've been rock bottom. I've been in that. It's very scary and it's very liberating because there's nothing left to control. You have to just allow. You have to just trust. And then you have to use your skill set and you have to use your faith and you have to use your strength and grace and you get to rebuild and you get to reinvent and you get to create this amazing structure of what you want it to be like, and you get to do it consciously because chances are the way that it was created as it is now was unconscious because we have been hypnotized by the world. We have been hypnotized by the social patterns and conditioning and generational stories and stuff. Like we have been told how to feel and how to think and what to do and what not to do and what is right and what is wrong. And half of it is BS. So it's an opportunity to let it all come crumble down. Let these systems that are no longer in effect just wash away. And then we get to rebuild what's important, brand new structures. Whatever business you had before, maybe you can build an even better business. I'm seeing that with my local place. Maybe the thoughts you had about your relationship, you can dump all that structure and systems, and you can rebuild it in a way that you want to experience more intimately, funner, cleaner. Clean off that slate, get rid of all of that past stuff, and be willing to start over. Let the Jumanji Bridge float across. Let it dangle for a while and just hang out and experience that. What is that like just to kind of dangle there? Just hang out. Not even know what to hold on to because you're just like, we have no idea, right? We have no idea who's going to randomly do what. Like it's just a chance we're taking. I just kind of believe that there's some freedom in this. I hope I'm not scaring you guys. I'm just kind of all week long, I'm in the shadow of it. Like I'm just watching and experiencing, and I'm in a really good place. I'm still doing yoga. I'm still riding my bike in the morning. I've spent a lot of time outside. I've been in the sun. I'm doing yoga in the gym. Luckily, I have the fitness room here, so we set it up for our workout. We're doing weights and just keeping my mind straight, man. I'm keeping it busy. I'm working, I'm producing, I'm putting out content. I'm really excited to get that out for you. The Mind Body Business Mastermind is starting the day after Easter. The group starts. I'm working one-on-one with those clients already. These are people who really tapped into that desire and decided, I'm all in. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here and this is my calling and I'm ready. I'm ready. And so they're already in the game. I invite you, if this is something you're considering, if you want to bring this work into your existing business to help your clients go deeper, to get them truly transform, build a whole new bridge, a new identity, reinvent themselves, a whole new identity. You know, it's like we actually create a new personality, which all that means is it's your personal reality. And all of that changes whenever you choose to live a more conscious life, a more aware life. It's kind of freaky. That Jumanji Bridge is a real thing. When you're doing this work, when you're one of my clients, you literally find yourself in that position. So my coaches are really familiar when I talk about it. They're like, yep, that's exactly what it feels like. Because suddenly you're questioning like, so if that's not true and that's not true, well, then what the heck am I supposed to believe in? And that is that transition of transformation. It's in between two worlds. You're no longer who you were, and you're not yet who you are becoming. You haven't fully embodied the new identity. And people at home don't really know how to treat you either because they keep treating you like the old person, which is very confusing to your brain because you keep reacting to them and you know it's happening, but there's still some old emotion hanging around in your body. And so you respond and react to it. We had that happen this week. We had an incident. I'll say some false accusation, but some things flown around like about the transformation work and it being dangerous and, being very careful almost as if it's a bad thing to be empowered and to make your own decisions. I tell you guys, this is the world I live in, right? So this is not the first time it happens. And what it did is it lit the fire into me. And I was like, not a problem. I just started interviewing more people. I have quite a few gals coming on actually that are lined up that are going to be talking about the other side of being in abusive relationships that they've actually healed from, and they're willing to talk about it because this stuff is real, guys. It is real. Anyway, just saying that what's happening right now with coronavirus is part of the 50-50. That's, my teacher talks about this all the time, and I agree with it that I'm not sure if we have the same reasoning, but what I see is it's the contrast. And so if you're going to experience one emotion, you have to experience the other side. So it's kind of like two sides to the coin. So that's where the 50-50 comes from. If you want to experience love and pleasure and ecstasy and ease, then you're also going to have to feel the opposite. Otherwise, you wouldn't know it was that. Does that make sense? We'll pull in some Abraham Hicks. You want the contrast experience so that you know what you don't want so that you can get what you do want, but you have to have the contrast in order to know it. So you have to be cold to know that you're cold, right? Like you have to get the opposite. You have to be like, oh my God, it's so freezing. I can't wait to get the sunshine. And then whenever you're like so hot, you can't wait for the cold. And so we need that contrast. It's just part of the human experience. Anyway, that's what I want you to think about this week is the Jumanji Bridge. Kind of see if you can hang out and dangle there. And if you can find ease even in that. Like, let it be okay. Let it be okay that we don't know what's happening. And for 30 more days, maybe even longer, we have no idea, right? We just take it 1 week at a time, which is how we were told to live anyway. We just weren't doing it. So now we're all surprised about it. But even the experience of like, this is our medicine in this time and age. Right now, this is the medicine. We chose to be here. We are here. This is what's growing and evolving us. And we get to choose what is this going to look like on the other side. But not just that, we also get to choose how do we want to experience right now? Do you want to be in the fear, in the doubt, in the worry, or do you want to experience in the allowing? For me personally, I don't want to resist it. It's very painful and I suffer and I don't sleep well and I'm not in a good place and I'm not really serving people because I'm in this kind of antsy discomfort in my own body. But when I choose to be in grace and in ease and in trust and I choose to allow, I allow life, I allow the universe, I allow God, I allow spirit to lead. I mean, everything is just amazing and business opportunities are just opening up. I don't know if you guys know this, but we started a YouTube channel where this podcast will actually be featured and so will some live interviews. So video interviews of people who are doing this work and who have completely transformed their lives. They'll have some before and after stories. They're talking about how they're helping others because, that's my mission is to help people on a personal and professional basis so that they can actually have the experience and integrate and embody it in their lives and become the work. We don't teach the work. We become the work. And then we are an example of the work. So we create the model for others to follow. And so as we live this experience of transformation and we show up as the product of our own work, then we can hold the space for other people to have the possibility and potentiality through our experience. We hold up the mirror. They see in us what they want, which is already inside of them. And we help them reach that dream, that wanting, right? All right. That's it. Until next week, you guys take care. Enjoy the kiddos. Enjoy your time off. Hang out in the Jumanji Bridge for a while. Let me know how it goes. Come on over to the More Than Mindset group if you want some support. We have all of the coaches teaching there. They're doing Facebook Lives, posts. They're doing free sessions if anybody wants 101. If you're suffering from TMS, and you're having like physical pain because of all of the extra stress, then we have some of the coaches there who can help you to process it. Feel free to reach out if you are a health and wellness practitioners and you want to bring this work to your clientele and you want to help them get past some of this, because guys, we're going to be dealing with a lot of stuff in the aftermath. And so if you really want to help hold the space for your clients and this is not in your toolbox, then I encourage you to reach out. Just send me an email and say, hey, I'd like a consultation. I'd like to know more about the approach that you use and me bringing it into my business and helping my clients go deeper and transform. I'd love to talk with you. All right. Until next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of More Than Mindset. If you're feeling stuck on your journey to health, wealth, and relationships, head over to www.portal.com help.kimguillory.com to learn more about the portal. It's a membership community where we take this work deeper, apply the concepts, and coach around the tough stuff.